everyone, it's Jess from Meyer Hatchery. Recently, we received the question, what do I do if I have an egg eater in my coop? Although it doesn't happen often, you could have a bird sometimes that may get the taste for eggs in the nest box. Let's talk a little bit about how we prevent that and what to do if we have an egg eater. The first thing is, the easiest way to prevent an egg eater is to collect eggs multiple times a day. So we try to check ours 2-3 times a day and make sure that there's no eggs sitting in there very long. Another thing that you can do is you can put some fake eggs into your nest box. And we keep those when we have new layers, but we also keep 1 or 2 just kind of in there all year round. And if somebody tries to taste an egg and they peck that one, it does deter them from pecking at the other eggs. Another thing is, make sure you have plenty of space in your nest box. I know, they're chickens. They're probably all going to fight over one, but make sure you have plenty of options for them to lay their eggs. And also, it's really good if the nest box are dark. If it's dark in there, the other chickens don't really want to go hang out in there if they're not laying an egg, and it deters them from going into the nest box. Another thing that you can do is you can invest in a nest box that is a roll-away nest box. So when the eggs are laid, they roll out of that nest box area. And that's a really, really great option if you have an egg eater that you just cannot figure out who it is. This is going to prevent anybody from trying to peck at the eggs or any of the eggs getting broken. Another thing you want to remember is make sure you have lots of space in the coop. So yes, chicken math, but also if you have lots of chicken math, make sure you have lots of space in your coop. And if you can, encourage some extra free range time. Sometimes when it comes to the egg eating, they could be a little bit bored, and that's why they're enjoying those eggs when they're not supposed to be. Another thing is you want to make sure that you're checking their protein, checking to make sure that you have good quality feed, and they're getting all the nutrition, the vitamins, everything they need. If they are feeling that they are lacking something, they may go try to eat an egg or peck at each other. So really make sure your food is good quality and they're getting the proper protein that they need. Another thing that you can do is you can add some boredom busters into your coop. So sometimes we'll hang things kind of on the side of the coop or give them different perches to kind of sit on, and that kind of helps deter them from being bored and going into the nest box. And it's fun to watch them work on those boredom busters as well. So what do you do if you have an egg eater? Well, the first thing is you want to try to identify who the egg eater is. There's a lot of technology now, and I found kind of the easiest way is I'll put a camera actually in my nest box area and I'll monitor the birds for a few days. Luckily, we've only had a few egg eaters in the history of my coop, but I do know what it's like to have an egg eater in my nest box. So what do you do if you have an egg eater? Well, there's a couple things that you can do. The first thing is you're going to want to identify who the egg eater is. And there's all these different methods out there that you can use. One thing that I found that was really easy is just to put a small camera into my nest box area, and I just monitored the birds in the nest box, and that's how I found who my egg eater is. I also noticed she had egg on her face multiple times during the week, and once I put 2 and 2 together, I figured out it was her. So what we did is we actually took her out of the coop, and you can definitely do this, and I put her in our separation area. And we left her there for about 4 days. She didn't like it, but it actually worked and it reset her. So you can definitely give that a try. Another thing that you may have to do is if your bird is continually, after separating, continuing to eat the eggs, you may want to consider taking your bird out of the coop and maybe rehoming your bird. I know that that can be hard, but sometimes that egg eating behavior can be really tricky to break, and your last option is to rehome that bird to somebody that maybe just wants a chicken for a pet. We all hope, though, that that separation does break that bad behavior and they go back to not eating the eggs when they're not supposed to. Another tip is, and this is really kind of, it depends. Some people say to do it, some people say not to, but make sure that when you're offering your flock any sort of egg treats, that you grind up any sort of eggshells before you offer it to your flock. And that's just something we do. If we're going to put the eggshells in, say with their scrambled eggs, we break those shells up into really small pieces, and maybe it helps to deter them, maybe not, but it's just something that we do, and you will read about that quite often. Hopefully I've given you some tips when it comes to egg eaters in your flock. If you have any questions, be sure to let us know in the comments below. Well, speaking of our flock, I think it's time to go give them some treats. Thank you so much for watching.